All right, guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Cody Groom, and today we have two cars that are completely different, but this is actually my first car. So, I had those cars as a kid that you would drive to your parents' cars and stuff like that, but this is the first car that I actually purchased for myself. I purchased this car, and this is a 2013 Civic. I purchased it brand new in 2013, or it might have even been 2012, I'm not sure. Right out of high school, and it's crazy to see it now. It's crazy to drive it now, feel it, and this is kind of the car that started it all for me. It wasn't a car that by any means had power, but I felt like this was like the sportiest car when I got it. Like, one of the first things I did to this car was tint the windows. I got the window down right here, but you can even see, so I wanted to go like, typical mod you get as a kid, right? I wanted to like tint the hell out of the windows. These things are, I think they're pretty close to limo. I think they're a shade above limo. And, but that was like the first mod I did. Obviously, I bought this car, and when I bought it, I didn't have a lot of money for mods, and I actually wanted an SI at the time. I really wanted to get an SI, and I just couldn't make the payments work. The payments on this were already ridiculous. I was 19 years old, basically paying, it was $409 a month and $250 for insurance. So I had $650 in payments. Of course, I didn't have rent yet, but I had those payments, and I remember being like I'm thinking it was a good deal or thinking that like it was fine. But as time went on, I was like, damn, it was a really high payment for this car. But anyways, kind of going over the mods, so one of the first things I did, and it's gonna be kind of tight squeezing back here. I'll see if Ryan can grab a shot for you guys, but was these right here. So this is actually one of those red emblems, and I couldn't find the one that actually fits. So you can see it doesn't fit perfectly all the way. And what I did is I got a vinyl overlay. So it's literally like this mint and black vinyl overlay. And I put it on the Civic emblem and this has been on there for like 6 or 7 years. I'd hate to try to take it off now, but it was like I thought it was one of the coolest things because I wanted emblems that were different. I didn't want to do black emblems on a black car. So I was like, okay, let's do mint. And I found this company that could do all kinds of stuff. And again, this is like a red emblem. So it's the JDM version of the Honda, the Honda emblem. And I always thought that was so cool, but I just wanted to have my own little touch to it. So you can kind of get an idea of like, if you're looking back at the M3, right? Like, just looking back at this thing, it's like, this is that of where it started, but in a totally like, this is like every little thing versus that, when I first bought it, there wasn't a lot of mods out there. As a 2013, and now there's probably a lot more for this car, I would imagine. But I also started to get to the point where I would read up a lot and understand more about cars, and I'd be like, okay, well, maybe this isn't a car I should modify, right? It's only 145 horsepower. It's not really, to each their own, I guess, but it just wasn't something I wanted to dump a bunch of money into. But, I mean, it's held up. It's held up pretty well. I think it's interesting. It's always interesting to see, like, where you came from, and just where it all started. So this thing probably has a 0 to 60 of like 10 seconds. I think a Prius at this point is probably faster than this, but at the same time, driving this car, I'm like, damn, it's kind of nice not to have like anything. Like as far as, like an M3, you have dual clutch, and you have, it feels like a sports car. It feels like it wants to go. This, I'm just sitting there, it's silent, like everything's kind of dead, like the steering's dead, and you're just kind of doing nothing. And I guess sometimes that's a little bit of a good relief from, like your sportable, I don't even know what to call this, the sports sedan, because I don't really want to call this a sports car, but like it's not a sedan either, so it's a sports coupe. It's a big sports car. It's a big sports car, that's what it is. I don't know, something. But I was thinking we could take this for a quick drive and kind of compare the driving experience to, the BMWs that I own and all that. Memories for sure, memories. So Ryan, he had a 2013 or 2014 Camry, Corolla, and I remember he had paddles. I didn't, and I was always like, what the hell? Why doesn't this have paddles? I don't know. Like, look at this. I remember like there's a miles per gallon thing on here, and literally I remember trying to get the most miles per gallon, and it just cracks me up because that is nothing like the M3 or any other of the cars I own. And you got Econ button. I remember also This was kind of the first car that I messed with like stereo, and so I put a sub in the back. It's actually still wired for a sub, but I think the amp blew or something like that, and so for a long time I had like a full sub in here, just classic, like, I don't know, just classic where everyone I guess starts with different stuff, or even I guess some people do it still to this day, but
teenager mods.
Yeah, but it's like the mods that I could afford, and they weren't. But I gotta say honestly, this steering wheel is still better than the Supra. I'm just gonna start a montage where I just shit on the Supra steering wheel. But all right, you guys ready for this cold start right here?
Dude, it didn't even make any like.
You know what you have to say though? This thing's got 130K, and it just starts up and runs perfectly. You know, so there is something to be said about that. It's really loud. Also, I just want to be clear, I'm not on this car because this is a damn good car. Like, it's still actually, you know, driving it 8 years later, it still feels like a fairly solid car. And I say fairly solid because it's hard to compare like the steering. You know, the steering, look at this, like we have body roll, it's hard, like little things like that. But I mean, for what it's made for, you can't really complain. So we gotta get a 0 to 60 test right here.
Dude.
Yeah, we'll get a 0. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, like, it's a Honda, so you know every single thing probably still works. But also, like, this car too, I actually traded my mom. So my mom had a G35 that was actually my sister's before. Long story short, it went through the family a little bit, and she was at the point with the G35 where it needed some typical G35 work, different sensors and stuff like that. And so I told her, hey, I'll trade you the Civic for that. And I didn't know that much on the Civic, and she basically, we traded, and the G35 then continued my process of cars. But let's, I'm gonna pull over, and we're gonna go 0 to 60 right now. All right. Launch control on. All right, cool. Is you ready? And 5, 10, 15, 20. Are we gonna make it to 60? We're not gonna make it to 60. We're still not at 60. I made it. That was 45. That was 45. All right, let's see if we can get a long enough stretch of road.
You might need to get like a freeway on road.
I'm so used to scraping on bumps that it's like, I don't know, it's interesting to not be in a car that scrapes. All right, let's try this again. See if we can do this. All right. And on. Where's, dude? Oh, that was 56.
Dude.
I wonder how many, well, we'll have to put a timer with how many seconds that is. Oh, 30, 31, 34, 36, 39, 41, 44, 46, 48, 51. And 60.
Dude, it literally took stop sign to stop sign to get there.
Yeah, that was probably a good, like I think in a quarter mile we might hit 35 miles an hour. No, I'm just kidding. That was probably half a mile, and we barely hit 60. Like, it was like 59, 60. Just wanted to, you know, two things that I wanted to, hopefully you guys can take from this video is, it's always cool to look back on and be proud of yourself. And I'm saying that with saying there's nothing wrong with this car. I'm just saying it's cool to see that the process of how, like, we, you know, as humans, like, change over time. Like, you know, at this point in time, all I wanted was a car to get me from A to B. Now I'm like, you know, how fast is it? What like mods can I do? You know, how do I enjoy the sound of the car? Do I enjoy how it drives? And it's crazy to see how, you know, things evolve. So at the same time, if you are at that stage right now where you got your first car and you hate it, you know, it will get better. You will have, you know, keep going, working towards your goals and figuring out what you want to get, what you want from life, and it will happen. But, you know, it's pretty interesting to take a little stroll down memory lane. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.